Hi guys, it's Marc Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Marc Zicree of Space Command, and Star Trek writer Marc Zicree, and so many other things. Twilight Zone companion. And as you can see, I am outside CBS, and that is because I'm talking about Star Trek Discovery episodes 12 and 13. And it's been an amazing 2 hours of television. And by the way, this is CBS Television City, where 6 videotape episodes of The Twilight Zone were filmed back in 1960s. So read The Twilight Zone Companion. I talk all about it there. But really a historic landmark for the history of television. These are black and white videotape episodes. They've gone back to the video masters. So if you watch the Blu-ray, which I produced of Twilight Zone, you'll see them in all their pristine glory. But I digress. So Star Trek Discovery. Well, I think the show's coming into its own. I really enjoyed, particularly episode 13. Now there's spoilers ahead, so stop watching now if you haven't seen these episodes. But here's the basics. As you remember, our erstwhile crew has found itself in the mirror universe, and it turns out that Lorca, Captain Lorca, who's always been a very troubled character and a very dark character, is from the mirror universe. Wow! And now a lot of these twists and turns, the fans already guessed in my little comment feed, and so so clearly they're ahead of the play. But for me, I think the show's really good. I think it's, people are saying it's not Star Trek and I hate it, but I think people are being won over. I think the audience is being won over because a lot of here's what's happening. They clearly, designed the arc of the entire season. The entire season is one story, and so the problem was that they were designing the beginning to fit the end. And as a result, there's an arc of certain shows where characters start out not liking each other, and then they come to like each other. And because it gives you somewhere to go. The problem, though, with Star Trek Discovery in that way was that you started with all these characters who didn't like each other. So Saru didn't like Michael, and Anthony Rapp's character didn't like anybody except for the doctor that he was in love with, and so forth. So you had all these arch characters all being very snarky to each other, and even Tilly was snarky toward Michael, saying, "Well, you don't sit there, we have seating assignments." And it's like, well, why was she being a jerk? Well, because Michael betrayed her captain. But why did Michael betray her captain? That's an interesting question, because the reason she betrayed her captain was so that here in the mirror universe, at the end of the first season, or near the end of the first season, she could save the mirror duplicate of her captain, Michelle Yeoh, alias Philippa, the Emperor Philippa. So, and so that would give it structural, symmetry. But the problem with that, of course, is she betrays the captain in the beginning. She seems like a jerk. We don't like her. So the problem is it's very hard for the audience to come round to like this character when you have to cover all that ground. But that said, I'm enjoying the show a lot more now because the characters are acting honorably. They're there for each other. They like each other. Lorca turns out to be a bad guy, which he always seemed to be anyway. And Michelle Yeoh was fairly flat in her performance up till now, but in the final episode or in the episode so far, the 13th episode, she seems to rise a bit to the occasion. She's giving a little more of an emotional performance, and also finally we get to see her in a good fight scene with her martial arts background. She's terrific in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Of course, she has a huge martial arts filmography, great martial arts star, and so. But it was really fun that Michael gets to save her, brings her to our universe. The whole fungus. It's, oh my God, their one ship is going to destroy all life in the multiverse. Really? It seems like a little dubious, particularly when it's based on their fungus technology. All of this seems a little dicey. But that said, Star Trek and Next Gen and all the different iterations of Star Trek have always had their shaky physics thrown in with the real physics. So we'll give them a pass on that one. But again, I really enjoyed it. The last two episodes, 12 and 13, I really enjoyed. The production value is staggering. I mean, it really is at the level of a feature. If you compare it to the Star Trek movies, you'll see that the sets, the visual effects, everything is just phenomenal. And as I said, they're putting in $8 to $10 million per episode, and it really shows. This is a very, very expensive looking show. So that's basically. Don't have a lot to say about this episode. Lorca, fortunately that actor is quite wonderful and able to really deliver that character. And then, of course, when our characters come back to our universe with the Empress Philippa, the Klingons have won the war or are winning the war, and of course we'll need her to help us tip the balance. And then the issue of whether or not this version of Star Trek is commenting on a real world Well, it sort of is starting to. It's dealing with the issue of, a rule where everyone is excluded versus a rule where everyone is included. The Federation being the good guys in that way, and the Empire being the bad guys in that way. And of course, you can read into that the Trump and all of that. And but we'll see how it goes. But still, finally, the structure of the entire story is taking shape. We know what the story is now, and whereas it seemed to be kind of flailing about early on, now it seems to really be on track. And of course, that was what they intended all along, so you can't fault them for not knowing where they were going. It was clear they always knew where they were going because they outlined the entire season going in. So, I think we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. I mean, it's very nice to see Doug Jones being the captain of the ship now, and not being just kind of arch like Odo was. Now he's starting to be warmer, and he's starting to be a captain, and that's nice. I mean, it's a much more natural role for Doug Jones. And so that's about it for now. Sort of a short one today, but let's keep watching. Let's see what we think. It's very interesting that the Orville and Star Trek Discovery exist at the same time. Soon you'll all be able to see Space Command and see how that stacks up against these very interesting variations of the Star Trek universe. And of course, Doug Jones stars in Space Command. If you want to see more about Space Command, you can check out a lot of our content, scenes, and trailers on Mr. Sci-Fi. Subscribe to the Mr. Sci-Fi channel. I'm posting about once a week. And I'm about to go to England for where I've been pitching series, and I just had lunch yesterday with my friend Rockney O'Bannon, who created Farscape and Alien Nation and Defiance and Sequest and Cult, and we're just starting to talk about a show for us to create together. So watch this space. It should be interesting, and we'll see where it all goes. But meantime, I'll go back to working on Space Command and all the other things I'm working on, and we'll talk again real soon. Marc Zicree of Space Command, Marc Zicree of Star Trek, Marc Zicree of Twilight Zone, etc. Talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.